during the meeting. With that, we'll invite Jim to the front.
Would you join me in the four-way test? Of the things we think, say, or do, will it clear to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? With the men and women's NCAA basketball tournament fast approaching in today's program, I thought it would be appropriate to give a head coach's prayer. And before I do, I want to share with you a brief story about the impact that these childhood basketball games will have in our lives later on. Like many of you, I watched the Duke versus North Carolina basketball game last Saturday night as the final game of the basketball season. I watched it with the point guard of my first grade basketball team all the way through high school. Bobby Ray Muldrew was a patient in ICU at UAMS with congenital heart failure. When a player would score, Bobby Ray would say, "That looks just like Eugene West scoring off of a screen." When the player scored from deep in the corner, he said that looked like Dean Cage. I am not embarrassed to tell you that we held hands as we watched what would be our final basketball game together. Last Wednesday, I went over to UAMS and I reminded Bobby of his leadership and the great plays he had at Saratoga High School as a Saratoga Bulldog. And I know those memories were with him and his family as he slipped away late Wednesday night. Now, let us bow our heads in prayer. Build me an athlete who will be strong enough to know when he is weak and brave enough to face himself when he is afraid. One who will be proud and unbending in honest defeat and humble and gentle in victory. Build me an athlete whose wishbone will not be where his backbone should be, an athlete who will know you, and that to know himself is the foundation stone of knowledge. Lead him, I pray, not in the path of ease and comfort, but under the stress and spur of difficulties and challenge. Here let him stand up in the storms, here let him learn compassion from those who fail. Build me an athlete whose heart will be clear, whose goal will be high, an athlete who will master himself before he seeks to master others, one who will learn to laugh yet never forget how to weep, one who will reach into the future yet who will never forget the past. And after all these things are his, add, I pray, enough of a sense of humor never to take himself too seriously. Give him humility so that he may always remember the simplicity of true greatness, the open mind of true wisdom, the meekness of true strength. Then I, his coach, will dare to whisper, I have not lived in vain. Amen. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, friends. In addition to some very tall speakers today, we also have a room full of guests, too many to announce at the podium. So if you're a guest or if you brought a guest, please stand and be recognized. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that wonderful message, Jim, and thank you for our guest introductions, Amy. We also thank today's greeters. Up front, we had Don Cole, Rick Fleetwood, Courtney Menifee, and Maha Witherington. Thank you all for the smiling faces up front. We are keeping announcements short today to leave more time for the panel, but I do have one very important time-sensitive announcement to make. In case you didn't know, March Madness is back. Club 99er Andrew A.B. Metters has agreed to chair our March Madness Bracket Challenge again this year, and while he couldn't actually be here today to make the introduction, he will be providing periodic updates throughout the tournament. Entries are limited to club members only, and only one per member on ESPN Tournament Challenge. I am excited to announce that the prize this year for each of the men's and women's brackets, so make sure you fill out both brackets, will be this hand-autographed basketball from our panel of Razorback legends that are here today. So, be sure you pay attention to your brackets. Be sure you make sure you are aware of all the teams that are out there. A teaser from AB, who correctly picked UConn to win the last 2 years in a row. He feels very strongly about Florida and St. John's to go far this year. To continue with our Rotary Year theme of Global Hearts, Local Hands, I've decided to use my President's Minute to highlight Rotary clubs around the globe. There are more than 46,000 Rotary clubs worldwide. We'll take a minute to learn about one other club a week from their history, membership, or the special projects that they support. This week, I'm looking at Club 58, the Rotary Club of Indianapolis, Indiana, which also happens to be the headquarters for the National Collegiate Athletic Association, or the NCAA. Founded in 1913, the club has supported many different local programs, from the Rotary Building at Riley Memorial Hospital, the Junior Achievement Headquarters, the Ruth Lilly Health Education Center, and the Rotary Greenway Project. Their near $9 million foundation was incorporated in 1947 and supports their local charitable and educational projects. Their signature annual event is Indy Do Day, a day of recognition that highlights members serving their community. The club did start hosting a bracket challenge in 2015, despite the NCAA headquarters being located there since 1999, but Indianapolis also hosts 11 professional sports teams, in addition to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway hosting both NASCAR and IndyCar races, so they have a lot of sports to pay attention to. So with that, we will toast the Rotary Club of Indianapolis, Club 58, and their commitment to athletes achieving their best. With that, we are ready for today's program. Past President Denver Peacock was this week's program producer, will also be serving as moderator, so I'll invite him to the podium to introduce today's panel. Please help me welcome Denver to the front.
All right, well, thank you, President Chaco. What a fun day to celebrate March Madness. I hope you guys will join me today in welcoming our 4 All-American basketball legends. And I think it's interesting to note, and I hope you guys will see this, all 4 of these legends hail from out of state. But all 4 have chosen to make Little Rock their home. So I just want to applaud them for that. All right, I'm going to go in alpha order. I don't want to get in trouble up here. And then as I finish up, I'll ask all 4 of you to join me up at the stage. So from Memphis, a 2-time All-American at Arkansas, the Razorbacks' all-time leading scorer, 8-year NBA veteran, led his team to the 1990 Final Four, former Philander Smith College head coach, Todd Day. From Slater, Missouri, All-American at Arkansas, U.S. gold medalist and 15-year NBA veteran, NBA champion, former UA Little Rock head coach, current basketball analyst, and Corky's barbecue owner, Big Joe from Slater Mo Klein. From Ruston, Louisiana, the Ruston Rifle, known for his deadly shooting, a freshman All-American, veteran of 2 Final Fours, a national championship runner-up, and famously known for the shot that sealed the Razorbacks' lone national championship victory in 1994. Former Razorback assistant and Parkview head coach, Scotty Thurman. Hailing from Chicago, the Windy City, All-American at Arkansas, known for his defense under the tutelage of Eddie Sutton, the 10-year NBA veteran, NBA champion, and 20-year coaching professional, including head coaching stints for the Toronto Raptors and Washington Wizards, the current UA Little Rock head coach, Darryl Walker. Please join me in welcoming these legends to the stage. Gentlemen. As we get started, I would like to just acknowledge today, and for all of us to take a moment to acknowledge the recent passing of Oliver Miller, Big O, a beloved Razorback who left a lasting impact on Arkansas basketball and beyond. Okay, guys, we are thrilled to have the four basketball legends up here with us. Before we jump into March Madness, I'd like to just go down the row and maybe each of you share a little bit about what you're doing now and how basketball continues to be a part of your life.
I just recently stopped being the head coach at Philander. My son actually took over the program. So as of right now, I'm just being grandpa and trying to help him get his career started.
I'm currently still residing in Little Rock, as Denver mentioned, going back and forth to Northwest Arkansas quite a bit. My daughter is a volleyball player there, and my son also works there in compliance. So I'm spending a lot of time traveling back and forth to Northwest Arkansas and hanging out with my grandkids as well.
I living here in Arkansas in Little Rock. I have two children living here in town. Corky's Little Rock and Corky's North Little Rock. And then I'm a grandfather. And don't you laughing? You think it's funny? They're like children. And and I got 5 grandkids. One lives here, 4 in Northwest Arkansas. I did some games for the SEC Network, and glad to be here.
I'm chasing around 18-year-old kids trying to get them to come play for me, and they're all asking for money. So I'll have the toughest job up here besides these 3. These guys are just kind of.
We're gonna pass a hat.
No, it's the hat has to be very big these days. It's college basketball has changed, but no, still coaching here at University of Arkansas, Little Rock, having the ball. Our new Frank athletic director here is doing a great job, and I have 9 grandkids and still coaching. I've been doing it all my life. That's all I know. Basketball's given me everything that I've gotten in my life. So I'm here dealing with 9 grandkids and dealing with a bunch of 18, 19-year-old kids.
So thank you, Coach. I'm seeing an early theme here. This is the grandpa panel. Scotty, you got 2 grandkids too, right? Yeah.
Yep, 9 and 5.
That's awesome. Hey, this is March Madness is an unforgettable time for us basketball fans. Can you and all of you have played in the NCAA tournament. Can you just share some of your early memories or some of your favorite memories of playing in the tournament? And kind of what does it mean to you today to see, as former players, coaches, and analysts, about the game?
I have a lot of memories, so many. The one that I can really think of is always going to Dallas for the Southwest Conference tournament. And for us, our path to the Final Four was back through Dallas. So I just remember the whole season, all we were saying is we could just get to Dallas. It didn't matter who we played. We knew we could win in Dallas because it would be 95% Razorbacks in there. So our whole motto was just, Lord, whatever you can do, just get us to Dallas.
My dad and mom used to take me to Dallas every year. I love watching you guys play.
Thank you.
Well, my memories of March Madness go way back before I ever was a player. Watching these guys who I didn't know at the time, and that I have the opportunity not only grace the stage, but also play at the same institution. And so to be able to carry on that tradition and be a part of March Madness, but then also have the opportunity to play on a team that actually won it, that's probably my most memorable moment.
Yeah, mine was, I had 4 games, lost all 4 of them, and they all came down to the last 15 seconds. Got beat. Watched Danny Ainge go coast to coast when I was at Notre Dame in the last play of the game. We were up 16, and our genius decided to go in a 4-corner stall, so that let him back in the game. We won't mention any names. Don't ever do that, Daryl. And then the next year we lost to Louisville. We were killing them, got beat on a tip-in. Remember feeling the ball on the tip of my finger, just trying to knock it out of there. And then Alvin Robertson blocks Othell Wilson's shot with under 5 seconds to go, and it goes right to Rick Carlisle, and he shoots it in, and we lose that one. And then had St. John's beat. William Mills steals the ball. We're up 1. Instead of just dunking it, he tries to do a reverse, hits the back of the rim, goes out to Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson throws it to Chris Mullen. Chris Mullen drains a shot, and we lose. So I love March.
You know what?
Can I get some, is there a therapy in here? Can I get anybody in there?
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. You know why I'm saying that? Because instead of going to Notre Dame and going like this, he could have came to the University of Arkansas. It would have been myself, Joe Klein, Scott Hafen, Tony Brown. Who am I missing? Alvin Robertson. That's a national. To me, that's a national. That's an NCAA title team
I've
right there.
apologized. I picked God over you.
I understand.
I was wrong.
My NCAA memory was growing up in Chicago in the Midwest and watching all those Big Ten teams play and watching Bobby Knight go 36-0 and win a national championship. So that was my introduction to the NCAA. And then, of course, going to 2 Sweet 16s and being part of the unforgettable shot that U.S. Reed hit at half court to beat the defending champions, Louisville, in 1981. So those are all my NCAA memories, some good ones too.
Yeah, that's great, Coach. Thank you both. I thank all of you for that. Joe, you were part of the 1984 U.S. Olympic team. You won a gold medal with Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, and fellow Razorback Alvin Robertson, and several other legends. Tell us about how that experience, what did it teach you, and how did it shape your career?
Wow. I think it was kind of your first glimpse into what pro ball was going to be like, because every day I walked out there and there was Patrick and Wayman Tisdale and I had to go against them every day. And our practices were incredible. They were better than the games. And it taught you, it humbled you. There were days you'd walk out of there and you would, just like the NBA, you would walk out of there and feel like you'd conquered the world. You know, you have a great game in Boston against Robert Parrish, and then you get on the plane, it's like, where are we going? Oh, you're going to Houston. You got Olajuwon tomorrow night. And that's how it was in the Olympics. I mean, every day, like I said, you were walking out there and there were these dudes, and there were a lot of them. And you had a coach that was like, we were going to scrimmage and we were going to get after it every day. And I mean, it was
Bob Knight, right?
Yeah, it was hard, but man, it was awesome.
What was your name? What did Bobby call you? How did he treat you, Coach Knight? I'm just wondering.
Well, I can't say. The second word was Joe. And we'll just leave it at that. But I think a lot of us were called by, our real name was the second name.
You played with Michael Jordan on that team. But just earlier that year, I believe you and I guess Alvin were on that team, but y'all beat, with Charles Valentine's shot, y'all beat Michael in Pine Bluff. Tell us about any bragging rights you might have had during that game or during the Olympics.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd look at him all the time and go, I did that a lot with the Bulls too. I just go, yeah, you're killing it up here. Couldn't beat our ass, so.
Oh, I'm sure that bothered him.
Yeah. Oh, do you know him?
Oh, I know.
Oh, hey, so Darryl, you've had success as a player and a coach, and in some ways you were a mentor to Michael Jordan. I think that may be something you can talk about a little bit, but.
Me, a mentor to Michael Jordan?
Well, you were known as on the '83 team or the '93 team when you guys won it all. I mean, you were kind of known as being a good friend of his on that team during his first NBA. Just tell us a little bit about the transition for you moving from a player to a coach.
Wow, it was. I had no intention of coaching. I remember golfing with Dr. Gary Nunn at Chenal. I get a phone call, and this Isaiah Thomas, and he goes, I just brought into the Toronto Raptors. I'm part owner, and I want you to come to be assistant coach. And this is exactly what I said. I said, no, I don't think I want to do that, Isaiah. I was an inmate before, and I know what the inmates do to coaches, and I want no parts of that. He goes, no. I think you got the right mentality for it. You're gonna have a long career. I said, let me think about it. And I wound up taking the job as assistant coach, and had no idea the next year he was going to fire the coach and make me the head coach, which I wasn't at that time ready to be a head coach. So that was my introduction to coaching. And thank Isaiah Thomas for that.
20 years, right?
Yeah, it's been a long run. Basketball's given me everything that I've gotten in life. Matter of fact, it's given all of us everything we've gotten in life. So coming here to the University of Arkansas was the best choice that I could have made. It wasn't my choice to come here. I wanted to go to DePaul University and play with Mark Aguirre and Terry Cummins, who were first-round draft picks, and Ray Meyer, who was a Hall of Fame coach. And my high school coach, Don Young, bless his soul, told my mother, he's going to the University of Arkansas. Now, I'm thinking I'm going to DePaul in the house. And back in those days, your high school coach was involved. And I said, I want to go to DePaul. He goes, no, you need to get out of Chicago because you're not going to survive in Chicago. You're not going to make it. My mother had one question. Coach Young, if he goes to Arkansas, is he going to have to pay? We have to pay anything? She goes, no, you're not going to pay anything. Everything's a full ride. She goes, well, he's going to Arkansas. So that's how I got here. That's how I got here.
Well, our gain and DePaul's loss. Hey, Todd, you were as all-time leading scorer. Tell us what was your key to success and maybe how the Razorback program has evolved over the years, kind of watching it from afar.
Well, I think the key to my success was I played with great players. They allowed me to do what I was good at, and I was scoring the ball. I tell those guys all the time, they made me who I am as far as offensive player, because we had a lot of guys who did the dirty work, which allowed me to be who I am. And as far as the second question, what was it?
Just watching the Razorback program over the years.
Well, no comment.
Okay.
No comment. No comment. I mean, hopefully we're on the right track. I think we're on the right track now.
Yeah.
We were for a while, but never to the statue of where it was when we were playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were sitting around praying that we're going to the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
When preseason, we knew we were in the tournament.
Right.
So it was just a matter of where we were going or how far we were going. So hopefully we can get it back to that where we know we're in a tournament. I think Kyle has a good grip on what's going on around there. He's going to bring great players. So hopefully they'll gel together and we'll have something to be proud of.
Speaking of success at Arkansas Razorbacks, Scotty, you were part of the national championship team in 1994. It's one of the most iconic moments in Razorback history. And if you guys will allow us, I'd love for the audience to watch that clip real quick. Is that all right? Okay. Jake, can you cue it up?
Stewart's open. Stewart. One on the shot clock. Thurman beat it. Oh! He got it! Three-pointer! Huge arch on that. He had to do it to get it over Lang's hands. Watch the arch he puts on this to get it over Lang, way above
Sky,
his
did you know the
normal
shot
arch,
clock was 2?
and drains it.
Did you know the shot clock was down?
Here is the play of the game. Lang going out
I
on
just
Thurman.
told Scotty, that
goes
kid
up,
right there,
realizes
21,
Lang, a great
Antonio
shot blocker.
Lang,
Look at the
he
arch
got
on
drafted
that,
by
and there's
Phoenix the
zero
next year, and I was on
right
Phoenix.
down to the hoop.
I
Great
killed him
defense,
every day.
Arkansas. McDaniel will end it in style. Arkansas is in hog heaven. They've won the first ever national championship.
Hey, Scotty, talk about that high arching shot. I heard there was a drill that you guys used to do with the broom. Can you talk about that?
Well, it actually started with my high school coach. He would make me shoot over a broom, and he would block some, and some he'd let pass through. But back then they called it a big man shot, because if you're going against guys like Joe and you shot it underhand, it was definitely going to get blocked. Now today they call it floaters and all those types of things. And so that was just a lot of repetition from coaches, and I didn't really believe in shooting over the broom. I thought it was like one of the dumbest things ever, until you're faced with a moment like that.
Yeah, there's some few shots of you in the parade. That's downtown Little Rock, so some very great memories there. To all of you guys, the game of basketball has changed quite a bit. This is the NIL question. What are the most significant differences you see in today's game? Talk about the NIL, transfer portal, recruiting, all that kind of stuff. So,
Well, first off, I think they owe us all some money. I think everybody here has been shortchanged. But no, it's really changed. I mean, obviously, I'm not a person who's against guys getting paid. I just think that there needs to be some form of regulation. I don't know how they would do that. But then I think more importantly, there should be some financial literacy. I mean, I can only imagine if I was in college and someone gave me $200,000, who's to say what would happen? I mean, you don't have to be an athlete. You can just be an 18-year-old, and you're probably not going to do very well with it. So I think there needs to be some form of financial literacy.
Todd, you got any thoughts on that one?
I think Scotty pretty much covered it. I just think a lot of the programs are paying the wrong guys. You know, you don't get the feeling of being a hog if you're only here for 1 year. So I think that's what is taking away the rivalries, the always wanting to know what your program is doing. Some guys end up graduating and they don't have anybody to root for because they've been to 3 or 4 different schools. So I think that's the one thing that I would take from it, just, you know, being a 4-year student. I don't know after 1 year if I could have been able to get the full Razorback vibe, the full grasp of what it is to really be a Razorback. So I think that's important.
I think also something that is probably very difficult, especially for Coach Walker and other coaches, is, you know, kids get to leave and they don't have to have a conversation with you. And I think, you know, so oftentimes, you know, as adults, we go through problems and we got to meet them head on, face to face, whether that be in business and life. And so I think we're kind of giving kids the wrong messages. Hey, if you want to leave, that's one thing, but I think you should be forced to have to at least sit down, address it, have a conversation, because not only does it help that young man or young woman, but it also helps the coach know, well, maybe he can change some things or tweak some things so he's not faced with it again.
No, I agree. I mean, I don't really have a lot to add on it, except, you know, they need regulation. You know, it's like, right now it's like driving on the Autobahn with no guardrails. I mean, it's nuts, and I can't imagine dealing with it. And again, it's good that guys get paid, because a lot of, you know, I think it all stems from, where it all started, in my opinion, is the NCAA being greedy. And you can't sit there and have us as an institution pay Brett Bielema $15 million not to coach, pay Chad Morris $8 million not to coach, you know, get rid of have years left when you got rid of Jeff Long and paying them millions of dollars, and then tell a kid, you know, hell, when we were in school, they couldn't pay for our summer school. We had to pay for our own summer school. So it was, I mean, they have reaped what they sowed, in my opinion. And now trying to rein it back in, that's tough, but you got to find a way to have rules and regulations. It's better right now to be a college basketball or football player than to be in the NBA or the NFL. Yep. You're an unrestricted free agent every year. Every year. So, I mean, it's nuts.
And speaking with a few college coaches, the main thing is I have to re-recruit my own players. You know, that's what they're complaining about. I just went through a whole pitch trying to get you here. I've shown you what it is to be here. I've gave you everything you wanted, and now I got to redo it again so somebody else won't come in and take you from me. So I think, you know, speaking to a lot of my college buddy coaches, that's the main thing. It's hard for a coach.
The most important thing is you have to recruit your own players before you go out and recruit anybody else, because you never know who's going to walk in and say they're leaving. And sometimes they don't even walk in. You just get an email from your compliance guy saying that they're in the portal and they're leaving. So it's a different time, and you know, everybody can't play for me, because I'm gonna hold you accountable. Because I was held accountable by Eddie Sutton, and I mean, he knows it. He saw it. I was held accountable whether I wanted to be or not. Huh?
Some sometimes we all got held accountable because of you. I said you ain't lying. Sometimes we all got held accountable because of him.
Yeah, that's true. But looking back on, that was the best thing that could have happened. He held me accountable, and kids don't want to get held accountable because they don't. First of all, they're not getting held accountable at the house, and then when they come to me and I hold them accountable, then I become the bad guy. And I don't have any problem being a bad guy because this is a tough job. This is a tough profession. But the game has changed. The money, you got guys asking for $200,000, $300,000, averaging 4 points a game, and it's just madness right now. And I can see why some coaches have left, but it's right up my alley because I'm an NBA person, so it's right up my alley. And if you want to get paid like an NBA player, I'm gonna treat you like an NBA player. And some people may disagree with that, but it's totally different now in college basketball. To me, it's the NBA. To me,
Yeah, just the challenges of bringing in new players every year.
Every year,
Yeah.
every year you're gonna have at least 5 or 6 new players. And if not, you're lucky. But you're gonna have a whole new team. One time I had 8 guys leave. So every day it's a constant. Is this guy going to leave? Is this guy not going to leave? And Joe, I've told you this before. I've talked to some prominent coaches, and they're really scared to coach and hold these guys accountable because they're worried about them transferring. My whole thing, Scotty, is the first day of practice, and that's my boss over there, the Chancellor Drill over there. The first thing I do, I say, let me get something straight with all you guys. You're not going to hold me hostage about the threat of transferring. I'm going to coach the way I want to coach. If you don't like it, goodbye. That's just my mentality because at the end of the day, they're going to leave whether you Dean Smith, nice to him, or you Bobby Knight. They're going to leave, Joe. They're going to leave. So you got to be who you are, and you got to hold these kids accountable.
Talk about installing a system now. I mean, obviously you guys were with Sutton and had this whole defensive mentality, and certainly Nolan did as well with, 40 minutes of hell, and defense was first. So, but you had time to get involved and build up a system. How do you do that?
No, well, Scotty and Todd and Joe and I, we all knew that, okay, they're coming back.
Yeah.
They're coming back. He knew Big O was coming back. You knew Corliss was coming back. I knew Joe was coming back. The players are there. Basically, we can teach the new guys, which one's going to be 5 or 6 new guys. You're going to teach them the system ourselves. We're Coach Sutton on the floor, or they're Nolan on the floor. They know the system. They've been there for 3 years. It's totally different now.
Talk about mentorship. You guys, all of you have coached and been coaches, so that's really another interesting thing about this panel. Talk about the importance of mentorship and what that's been like for all of you. And I'll start with Scotty and Todd.
Well, I think mentorship is it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week deal. It's not when it's convenient for you. I think the biggest thing with young people is we want them to be, and I say we as parents, we as coaches, we want them to be adults before they're ready, because we're looking at where we are versus where they are. And I think it's important that we meet them where they are to try to help them get to where we want them to be and where they need to be. I think so often, we jump down a kid who's 15, like when I was in high school, you jump down a kid's throat who's 15 thinking he's 25, or he should be acting as though he's 25, and that's just not normal. So for me, when I think about mentoring, I try to look in the mirror and think about what I was doing when I was 15 and try to meet them where they are and try to help them get to where we want them to be.
Yes, for me, coaching at a HBCU was a little different. You have to be a little tougher. You have to use a lot of words that you wouldn't normally use in public because that's the language that they understand. But, I'm from a tough dad, a tough coach, so all I give them is tough love. The outside world may not see the love that I give them on the inside, in the locker room or at practice. All they see is the games and the tough love. But like Daryl said, it's the way I grew up, and it's the only way I know to give, what I can give. So I just try to stay as strong as possible on them and try to lead just through them seeing me do the right things and trying to be a good citizen, a good person, and hopefully it rolls over on them.
I just try to, as an African-American coach, and most of my players are African-American, I just try to let them know there's more to life than basketball. It's just more to life than basketball. We took a trip to Italy, we went to Rome, we tried to show them different things, how other people live. If we're on the road, a couple of years ago, I took my team up to Crystal Bridges to get a tour of Crystal Bridges. They were looking at me like crazy. Where are we going to look at artwork, Coach? By the time we got through with the tour, they were in love with art, and they all wanted to become a damn artist all of a sudden. So I think it's important that you have to show them that there's life after basketball. You're not going to play basketball forever. We're good players, but we can't move right now. It's going to be life after basketball, and you're going to have to do something else. And it's important. Like when I first started in college, I coached at Clark Atlanta University, an HBCU school in Atlanta, Georgia. I have a group text of about 20 of my players that I coached for 2 years there. We were almost texting every other day about something. They're asking me a question in a group text, and that let me know that I did something right, even though I yelled and screamed and got on their butts about being on time. And now guys are in real estate going, Coach, you were right. I see why you was getting on me about being on time. If you're not on time, you're going to get fired. I said, yeah, I told you that, but you guys thought I was the bad guy. And it makes me feel good that these guys understand now that to me, I got to be more than a basketball coach. I know where I come from, South Side Project Ghetto of Chicago, barely made it out. Saw my mother get shot before. So, I've seen a lot of things that people shouldn't see at a young age. And it's important for me to mentor these guys and get them ready for the real world. Because the real world is tough out there.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in communication, being honest. I think when I coached, I tried to, if I got on them hard, I tried to praise them hard. You know, I would, if I got on a kid, I would hard about something he didn't do, I would spend the next 2.5 hours trying to find anything that he did right, even if he was awful. I would try to find something to just praise him about. If he set a good screen, if he made a good, whatever, just tried to show him that I'm fair and that I'm in it for him. But I think what you heard from all these guys, the main thing is, and you guys know, it's the most important thing in all our fields is you got to communicate. You got to, you can't help, you can't mentor without communication. And the kids and your employees, they got to know that, you're in it with them and that you're not sitting on your throne passing out orders, that you'll get in the mud with them and help them. But as Daryl said, there's accountability.
Yeah, we build this program as a March Madness panel, but all of you played professionally somewhere, but 2 of you actually were part of June Madness. Can you guys talk about your experiences winning the NBA championship ring?
Yeah, we can. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Appreciate you, Mike.
And Joe knows he's experienced. It's something to be in the NBA Finals, and I had got cut by the Pistons and came back home, and I got a call from Jerry Krause about coming with the Bulls, and accepted that. And I remember vividly we had lost. It was 3-2. However it was in those days, Joe, and we were going back to play games 6 and 7. In Phoenix with Oliver Miller and Charles Barkley and Kevin Johnson, Danny Ainge, they were really a good basketball team, and everybody was a little nervous. And I remember MJ getting on the plane with a big cigar going, guys, I packed for one damn day. We're coming back as world champions. And it's funny because I sat here and put my feet up on the seat, and he sat there and put his feet on the seat. Now, you're not supposed to be smoking on the plane, but he's smoking a big stogie, having a drink and going, D. Walker, I told you I'm going to get you a championship. We're coming back tomorrow. I said, I hope it comes true, and it did. It did.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Just, I had the opportunity. I was at the end of my career, and I had a lot of offers out there to go and play other places. But, I wanted to feel that. And I knew I wasn't going to play a lot. I knew I wasn't going to be a huge part of it, but I wanted to be a part of it. And I'm damn glad I did, because it was awesome.
And Daryl, for you, it was your hometown team. That was probably a little more sentimental, I guess.
No, it was worrisome. It was bad, because I had family members come out the woodworks that I didn't know I had. Everybody wanted a ticket. Everybody wanted a ticket. Everybody wants something. It's just unbelievable.
Be out there warming up. Hey, Uncle Bill.
Everybody,
Who the hell are you?
I'm like, people were coming from out of the woodworks trying to get tickets, man. And it was a fun year for me, but it was a long year for me, because I had to ask tickets, and MJ would say, damn, D. Walker, you always need tickets. I know you're from Chicago. You know this many people in Chicago? I said, they're coming out the woodworks, man. By the way, you got any extra tickets? So, but it was a great experience to win that first three-peat. And Joe knows it's whether you get in the game or not, you can feel the intensity of the game. It's heated, it's high level. And then Barkley was playing at a high level at that time. He really wasn't. They were a good basketball team. And speaking of Oliver Miller, I remember I got in the game and they had won, and we were going back to play game 6 and 7, and we're standing next to each other on the free throw line. And I had Coach Oliver later on in my career in Toronto, so he's telling me, Joe, he goes, well, we got y'all now. We're heading back to Phoenix. I said, young fella, you see that dark-skinned guy over there, number 23? He's on my team. Yeah. I'll take my chances. I'll see you in Phoenix, Big O.
Yeah, that's when that's when you utter. Back in the day, you could utter the famous words, "Shut up, rookie."
Yeah, shut up, rookie. Yeah, they don't even get treated like rookies no more. Todd, did you get treated like a rookie a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, nobody goes through that anymore. It's just.
More than a little bit.
Oh, okay.
My name the whole year,
In Boston.
no, in Sacramento, was Jr.
Oh boy.
Joe Rook.
Joe Rook.
I mean, we'd be drawing up a last-second play, and the coach would be like, Reggie, you're over here. JR, you're right here. And I'd be like, damn, JR, what the hell?
Was Bill Russell your coach?
For a little bit.
For a little bit?
Yeah.
How was that? Never mind.
Yeah.
It was
He's
different.
a great player.
We're sorry. Go ahead,
No,
Denver.
you're good. Tony Rankino was out here. He helped us with that video. He and I were able to he found 2 standing room only tickets to games 4 and 5 that year. So that was a lot of fun.
With Joe or with me?
No, with your year.
Okay,
Yeah, your year,
okay.
93. So anyway, that was a lot of fun for us too.
Should have called Derek.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know him then. Hey, there's a Cinderella story every year in the tournament. Let's kind of get back to March a little bit. Talk about some of your favorite Cinderella stories, some of the teams that you watched over the years that you've enjoyed, some of the shots, iconic moments, just some of your memories of March Madness can be about yourself, but it can be others too.
Valpo for me. Was it Scott Drew?
I always remember
The guy shaking his head. That was a heck of a play.
I remember
And a heck of a shot. Huh?
Stephen Curry,
Oh, okay.
Davidson. I always remember him.
Danny Manning with Kansas, Dan and the Miracles.
Yeah, mine would probably be Kimball Walker. He had a stretch from the Big East tournament and to the NCAA tournament that was unparalleled.
Yeah, those are all good. You guys may not want to answer this one, but if you had to pull together a starting 5 from Arkansas Razorback history, and you can't name yourself, who would be the first or second draft pick you would include?
Say it again.
Who would be on your team? Who would be in your starting 5 if you had to pull together some of the legends from the past?
Man,
And
you can include UA Little Rock too, guys. That's all right.
No.
I'm partial, but I mean, I'm taking D. I mean, and I said this the other day on the radio, and I mean, there is not ever in the history of college basketball 2 better defensive players than I got to play with my sophomore year than Darrell and Alvin Robertson. I mean, I'm guarantee you there's some as good, and you can make an argument, but you will never convince me that defensively, those 2 guys. I mean, I saw them put misery on people that was borderline. They could have been arrested for. I mean, and then I gotta have, I mean his numbers should be hanging.
He's the all-time leading scorer.
His numbers should be hanging from the rafter.
Yep.
That's all I got to say.
Yep.
All right. That's all I got to say. It bothers me to no end, and I won't even start it with McFadden.
Yeah, you got Joe going now. That's a touchy subject for him.
How his number is not hanging unless he told them not to hang it, I don't know. I don't know, but it's beyond me. But I love Big O, Scott Hastings.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys. Have a big guy like O and a guy like Scott Hastings that could shoot it, and then have him, and then 2 defensive guys. That would be my 5.
And Corliss, your 6th man?
Yeah, hell, I forgot about Corliss. Well, Scott, you got to go, man. Good
No,
Lord,
it's
I
a lot of
forgot
great
about- yeah. Oops.
I mean, and just to harp on it for a second, it bothers me, and I made some phone calls to a couple of guys about this years ago, and how can Marvin Delph and Ron Brewer not be hanging next to Sidney Moncrief? I don't understand. That's the reason why my high school coach said, you don't know what you're talking about. They got those guys down there in Arkansas, they play just like you, they're the same size as you. That's where you're going to school at. And I know it bothers those two guys that they're not hanging, and I don't think anybody's jersey can go up before Ron Brewer and Marvin Delph. Those are the guys that basically got Arkansas basketball going.
We all had something to look at. Todd said and Sky said they looked at us. I was sitting there watching. I was listening to KAAY and
Delph and Brewer and Moncrief.
Hearing them, I'm going, what the hell are they doing down there? Hearing them call the Hogs and stuff on the radio, and that made me interested. It made me look at it, and and they came on a promise, they didn't even have an arena. They were playing on sawdust.
Yeah.
And for them, those guys, or even Jimmy Counts, I mean, I don't know that you have to retire everybody's number.
Well, you can't retire everybody's number. Too many good players.
But you go to Kentucky, you go to North Carolina, and you walk in there, and they got jerseys hanging, and they acknowledge people. Big O should be acknowledged.
Yeah.
And again, if you don't have to.
You can't retire everybody's number.
You can honor the jersey. You don't have to retire it.
And I just think, I don't know. I mean, I just know a lot of guys, and when you say this, and you got to be cautious because you feel like you're
promoting yourself.
Promoting yourself.
Right.
I've been honored more in this state.
Right. Me too.
Y'all cannot hang. If you didn't hang my number, I know you still love me, so
right.
Be good with it. Okay. But I just see a lot of guys. It bugs the hell out of me that I see him walk up to me and I get mad.
He's all-time leading scorer.
I ain't mad at you. I'm mad. and I got to hang around Darren McFadden every now and then, and I see him and I'm like,
I don't understand it.
Again, why is somebody wearing his number? And it just, you got to have a legacy, to have tradition. You have to honor people.
Yeah.
And we got to do a better job of that.
Before guys get too old or before they die.
Thank you.
Can we get back to the question now?
Yeah. You better hurry.
Yeah, I ain't getting no younger, Joe.
What's that, Todd?
Go ahead, Todd.
Can we get back to the question now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
You forgot. What's the question?
No, I hate to leave people out on a question
Right.
like this because I've been asked this a lot, but I can only go by what my eyes have seen.
Right.
If you put Lee Mayberry next to Joe and Scotty with Corliss and Big O, Lord have mercy. That would be my top 5 team.
All right, that's awesome. Predictions for this year's tournament? You got any favorites, Final Four, and men's and women's? If you can, whatever you want to talk about, it'd be great.
It's hard for me to make any predictions because, and I'm really sincere about it because I'm not there, and I've been there before as a player, and it's a sad time for me right now, to be honest about it. And it's hard to. Everybody think it's easy to get to the NCAA tournament, especially when you're in a one bid league. You could be playing well all year long, Joe, and that one bad game can send you home. And sometimes people forget about that. So I probably won't watch a lot of it. I just distance myself from it because we haven't gotten there yet. But I'm always pull for Calvin Sampson because he's somebody that I talk to a lot and text a lot on the phone. And I watch a lot of college basketball. People think I watch the NBA. I haven't watched the NBA in probably 5 years. That's not the NBA that I know. Maybe that's the NBA that Todd Days and Joe know. I don't know anything about it. It's nothing against it. I'm not jealous. It's just a different league. It's no physicality. It's nobody disliking each other. Everybody's hugging and kissing before the game. So it's just a different game. Now, of course, I wish I was playing now. I don't think I'd be coaching right now if I was playing now. I think I would be in the Bahamas with my golf bag. But I'm not going to watch too much of the NCAA. But the teams that I know that's pretty good is Alabama's pretty good, Houston's pretty good, and please don't sleep on Florida.
That's what I like. Yeah, I think Houston is definitely a favorite. I mean, I like Houston. I think I've got Drake as my dark horse because they're one of the few teams in college basketball that returned a lot of guys and didn't have a lot of turnover. I think Florida's going to be good, as they all mentioned. And I think Michigan State is a sleeper.
Yeah, I agree. Just watching Florida play, how can you not say that they're one of the top teams this weekend? I like Oregon as a sleeper. They've been playing good ball this year. Not in a great league, but they've been not getting the exposure that they deserve. But I think Florida, and I also like Duke if Cooper Flag is healthy.
Yeah, I like the 4 SEC teams, Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, and Florida. I think Florida's the best of those teams. I think they have 5 really good guards. They have 4 really big, versatile guys. I think they can handle foul trouble. I worry about the SEC going into the tournament because the game is called different. In the SEC, they let you play. I mean, there's third-degree assault that doesn't get called in the SEC, and that's not going to happen in the NCAA. The officials in the NCAA, they're graded every round, and they want to advance. Of course. And so they're not going to let things go. And so I like those, and I like Houston and Duke. And my sleeper is. I hate to say this, but it's Texas A&M. I mean, because they can win ugly. I mean, they
Play ugly, that's what they do.
They can shoot 20% from the 3, 30% from the floor, and shoot 60% from the free throw line. But they get every offensive rebound and they win by 10. It's the dang. Their analytics are the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life, from an offensive standpoint.
Any favorites in the women's bracket? Anybody you're following?
I'm not betting against not Carol Lawson, but
South Carolina.
South Carolina. That I've seen enough. Somebody got to beat them.
She got some players.
Yeah.
I love to see Juju in the championship. I think they got a great team inside and out. Also, UCLA with the 2 big girls inside, they have a great chance as well.
The kid from UConn, what's her name? Paige
Beckers.
She's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Too.
I think Notre Dame's going to be pretty good. I think they're tough to beat. They got 2 really good guards. And I hate to say this, especially in a room full of Razorback fans, Texas.
Yeah.
Texas girls are pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for a couple questions. All right. Need the mic?
To keep things quick, we're going to repeat the questions from up here. So I'll call you out, and if you would, wait till after I repeat the question in the microphone. Go ahead, Mike.
My question is to Darryl Walker. Darryl, I know you're an art aficionado, so I was kind of curious, can you share with us what got you interested in art? What are you doing with it? And how do you use that in your basketball professional coaching?
So the question was to Coach Walker, tell us about art.
I started collecting art.
You have to understand me sitting here, hearing somebody, knowing this dude. I seen him in Arkansas.
Don't
when
tell
he was
everything.
20 years old. And to have somebody get up, I would have bet my life that nobody ever would have asked him, how you feel about art? I had to say it, I'm sorry.
Bernard King, the Hall of Fame small forward that played when I broke in the league, was an art collector. And I was a young kid in New York hanging out by myself. And he was always trying to get me to go to museums, to art shows. And I would say, you go ahead, man, because I'm heading to Studio 54 and hang out. And so he said, oh, you need to stay out of that place. I said, no, I'm liking that little Studio 54. I'm having a good time in there. So he got hurt, I got traded, we got together again, and he kept banging me about collecting, and I started collecting African American art, photographers, sculptures, paintings. I've been doing it since 1990. Been doing it for a long time, and now I'm pinching myself, Joe, because in 1983, 84, I probably could have got a Basquiat for about $10,000. if I'd have listened to Bernard, I should have been. But that's hindsight right there. So it's a joy to wake up and look at it in the morning, and when I come home from work, and it's just one of my passions. Some of my retirement package too in there.
Jay?
Thank you guys for coming. Y'all are my favorites. Each one of y'all got great games that I remember. 1991 Tuscaloosa, Mayberry, Dave Miller, Latrell Sprewell, James Robinson, Robert Horry.
Some pros.
Sitting on the floor, and they're passing the ball, and you pass the ball about 25 miles an hour, and everybody on the court was faster than that. It was unbelievable. You just can't imagine how quick these guys were. National championship, Pine Bluff, and Elijah won games.
Oh boy.
It was just,
That's Joe Klein's buddy, Elijah one. That's Joe's buddy, Elijah one.
I want to see him.
so much for all you, the memories you guys have given us. That's the truth.
I mean, I think we all, four of us, would say coming to Arkansas is probably one of the better things that we've did. This state is in love with the Hogs, but it's a connection. These guys don't have a connection with you guys anymore because they leave after a year. I was there for 3 years. I think Todd was there for 3 years. Scotty there 3 years. Joe 3 years, basically 4, and you get to know us and we get to know you guys through our ups and through our downs. And right now, you don't have that. And let's be honest, a lot of you guys, all you see is somebody's asked you for some money to give to some people that you don't even know, to be honest about it. So it's just different. The game has changed. Kids staying 3 and 4 years. It's not going to happen. I have one kid that graduated this year, Jordan Jefferson, who I'm really going to miss. He spent 4 years with me. And he'll tell you it probably wasn't the easiest 4 years, but he came up to me and said, "Coach, you were hard on me, but it was for the best." And I'm so glad that I stayed 4 years. But the good thing why he stayed 4 years, Todd, Scott, and Joe, is because he had a father that had played for Raleigh Massimino, and he understood coaching. And you ain't leaving. You're gonna have some tough times. Anytime you have a tough time, what you gonna do? You're gonna leave, and that's what these kids are doing. They just anytime something doesn't go their way, they're ready to leave, and that's not the way life works.
One last quick question. Kelly?
This is for Joe. So I'm home and I click on the TV and there you are in Baton Rouge. And, it's the next day an LSU game, and so I watched the 2 hours of the game. You've had to get there, you've had to prep. I mean, how much, is it pretty grueling being the analyst? And I mean, how much time do you spend besides traveling there, prepping and just watching ball and stay up on all the things?
So question.
Well, I mean, I try to, I like watching the previous 2 or 3 games. It gets easier as the year goes on because I had LSU before, I'd had A&M. It's harder at the beginning of the year because, like what Darryl said, they're all new every year. So you're not sitting there going, oh, they got these 5 guys coming back and this is what they're going to do. It's a crapshoot. So I mean, there's some time. It gets easier towards the end of the year because you've been watching and you can see it. But I mean, I like doing it. It keep I miss basketball. I miss coaching. I miss being around it, and it lets me be around it. And so I enjoy it very much. I don't look at it as a burden at all. I feel very lucky to be able to do it.
Do you want to come on, be my assistant? You want to get on the road?
I didn't say all that.
We will finish with the job offer there. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. What a great way to get us ready for the tournament.
That was real fast.
To our panel and our guests, it is not too late to apply for membership so that you can try to win this basketball and maybe get your signature back. Next week is spring break, so we do not have a meeting next week. Please enjoy the time off. Remember that we need to get those brackets in by Thursday, 11 a.m. So with that, have a great break. We are adjourned. Let's go Hogs.